still joining us for the question and answer session. Anissa, could we perhaps give another round of applause? Such a beautiful film. I had the opportunity to saw also the premiere, I think, in Indonesia, in Jakarta. That was really touching. And we're lucky to be joined here by Wahyu and also by Tasha, Victor, of course, and Chris, co-directors. Victor and Tasha is here to also help us here. Thank you so much. Right, so we're going to have a series of questions from the floor. Perhaps while everyone is still thinking, and I'm going to use my privilege as the moderator, I'll start with a question. And while they were get out their answer, if you have questions, you can raise your hands. We have a couple of people that will hand out the mics to you. All right, maybe my first questions to maybe Victor first, and then Chris and Wahyu can follow. How did you decide to work together, Pak? Bagaimana bisa bekerjasama dengan Wahyu dan Chris?
Oke, baik. Pertama-tama terima kasih kepada Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa sehingga saya bisa hadir di sini. Ya, awal pertemuan kami dengan Chris dan teman-teman Dokmil di Toraja, yaitu pada salah satu upacara pemakaman di Toraja. Lewat teman saya Yakob memperkenalkan kepada saya bahwa mereka akan datang, mereka telah datang untuk mendokumentasikan acara-acara atau film dokumenter di Toraja.
First of all, I would like to thank God for this opportunity. I met the Dog Milk crew when they visited Toraja in 2019. It's 2017, I apologize. And they were documenting a funeral ceremony, and my friend Jakob introduced me to them.
Ya, saya sangat tertarik dengan peralatan-peralatan mereka sangat canggih. Saya ingin belajar dari mereka bagaimana mendokumentasikan sebuah acara yang lebih baik daripada yang kami lakukan sebelumnya.
So I was fascinated by the equipment and the tools that they were using, and I followed them along just to know how to document properly, so then I can implement it myself on my own way of documenting.
Ya, saya minta izin kepada teman saya Yakob untuk memperkenalkan kami lebih dekat, sehingga saya setiap hari boleh mengikuti mereka pada saat mereka mengambil gambar sambil mempelajari cara-cara mengambil film dengan baik.
I asked my friend Jakob to personally introduce me to them, and ever since I follow them along whenever they document.
Ya, untuk semakin mempererat persahabatan kami, saya mengundang ke rumah saya dan menyuguhi makanan-makanan tradisional seperti kapurung, sehingga kami semakin akrab setiap harinya.
To further deeper our friendship, I invited them to my home and served them the traditional sago soup to them.
Ya, dan kemudian pada kedatangan mereka yang kedua di tahun 2019, saya mengundang mereka untuk tinggal di rumah saya seberapa lama yang mereka butuhkan.
So during their second visit in 2019, I asked them to stay in my place for how many long that they're staying in Toraja.
Dan saya juga memberikan apa yang saya punya untuk mendukung pengambilan gambar mereka seperti kendaraan dan apapun yang mereka butuhkan yang saya miliki.
And I gave them the resources that they need to document, including the home and the car as well.
Jadi sejak saat itu beberapa kali ke depan mereka tetap tinggal di rumah saya.
So every time they come to Toraja, they would stay at my place.
Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Wahyu or Chris, do you want to share with us?
Yeah, the first time we went to Toraja in 2017, I went with Sam, John, two close colleagues of mine. After a journalist friend of mine kind of told me about Toraja for the first time, we started researching Toraja and essentially like how Torajans deal with the grieving process and death. And there's on YouTube, there's obviously like a plethora of videos that kind of lean towards just kind of sensational imagery of, you know, dead bodies being redressed with cigarettes in their mouths and all of these kind of images, and yeah, obviously there was something like so much deeper underneath all of these kind of documentaries from National Geographic, from places like Dark Tourist, and these kind of, I guess, documentaries that focused on Toraja from, I guess, the perspective of just these sensational funeral ceremonies. And we were super keen to go there and just kind of do a bunch of interviews, meet a whole lot of people and see what it was actually like. And within the first few days we met Victor at a funeral and became good friends. We did some interviews, we were super interested in his work. Like, we didn't know that there was this whole world of videographers in Toraja, local videographers, and we didn't know that Victor was one of the first that started a videography company that, you know, broadcast footage. Not only did he photograph all of these ceremonies, but he'd created a network of a broadcasting network to allow those images to spread throughout all of the villages surrounding. So, you know, the first time we went there, we were seeing his footage without even knowing it was his footage. It's everywhere. It's in, you know, palm wine bars. It's in, you know, the offices of, you know, government. Everywhere that you go, there's a TV on with Victor's footage playing on it, 24 hours a day, you know, 7 days a week. So we were introduced to his footage even before we met him, without knowing. Anyway, yeah, we became friends very quickly, and in 2019 we stayed for 2 months at Victor's house, and that's also when we met Wahyu in 2019.
Kalau aku sama mereka ketemunya di tahun 2019. Sebenarnya mereka saat itu lagi nyari lokal filmmaker dari Makassar. Kebetulan saat itu mereka approach Arfan Sabran, terus Arfan Sabran kontak aku karena beliau lagi nggak bisa ikut syuting.
So I met them in 2019 through my friend, a local filmmaker, Arfan Sabran. So at that time they were looking for a local filmmaker at Makassar, and Arfan Sabran, because he was busy then, he assigned me for the job.
Ya. Dan saat produksi di Toraja, pas yang kedatangan kedua, saya punya kesempatan buat ikut sama mereka, belajar sama mereka, itu 10 hari. Dan setelah selesai produksi, mereka balik ke Makassar. Saya ngundang mereka ke kampus saya di Hasanuddin University buat screening. Kemudian kita bikin workshop juga di Rumah Tahan Space.
So during their second visit, I followed them for 10 days during the production, and after they went back to Makassar, I held a workshop and screening at Hasanuddin University, the university that I attended then, as well as this art space called Rumah Art Space in Makassar, where they did a filming workshop there.
Yeah. Dan habis itu mereka yang kebalikan lagi, mereka yang undang aku ke Melbourne tahun 2019 sebelum COVID. Kita saat itu lagi join di festival Guru Hara, bagian dari Asia Topa, dan kita lakukan beberapa pekerjaan seperti bikin instalasi juga di Guru Hara. Tapi sayangnya gara-gara COVID, jadi saya harus pulang lebih cepat daripada waktu yang diperkirakan. Tapi ya kita tetap mau bekerja sama walaupun online, makanya kita lahirkan sebuah program namanya Sepakat Duo.
And then the other way around happens. They invited me to Melbourne in 2019. That was pre-COVID. We did an installation at Guru Hara and Asia Topa, but the trip was cut short because of the COVID-19. And then we decided to find an alternative way to collaborate together. So we established this exchange program, Sepakat Duo, so then we can continue working together.
Perhaps one more question from me before I throw it to the floor. Victor, you have more than 15 years worth of footage. How did you, and along with Chris and Wahyu, sift through such beautiful and of course important series of things that you have in cassettes VCD, and hard disk and all that. Gimana Pak bisa memilih footage dari selebih 15 tahun itu?
Ya, terima kasih. Footage-footage yang saya rangkum selama belasan tahun, saya tampung dalam hard disk, dalam kepingan-pingan video, dan pita-pita. Jadi setelah YouTube dan sosial media berkembang, saya upload ke sosial media.
So all of those footages I stored in DVDs, cassette tapes, and hard disk. And in 2010s, I started to transition to upload them on YouTube.
Sehingga mereka melihat video-video yang saya upload ke YouTube dan mereka tertarik, sehingga mereka menanyakan footage mentahnya, video-video mentah kepada saya.
I showed the Dog Milk Crew all of the footages from my YouTube channel, and then I offered them the raw footages that I have archived in my studio.
Jadi setelah itu saya mencarikan file-file mentah dalam ratusan hard disk yang saya simpan, dan kemudian saya juga memberikan pilihan-pilihan tentang video-video yang serupa seandainya mungkin cocok, sehingga mereka memilihnya.
So I sifted through hundreds, if not thousands, of footages, and I suggested some of the footages and to compare with the ones that they have already selected and chosen.
Okay, Pak Kuswoyo, do you want to add anything to that?
Kalau dari kalau Victor ngasih lihat footage ke teman-teman dokumen. Nah setelah itu sebenarnya dari huru-hara ini yang bikin kayak jadi inspirasi gitu buat ngelakuin proyek ini. Justru dari situ kita benar-benar ngulik lagi nih gimana sih knowledge dari Pak Victor, terus gimana cara mereka itu melakukan pekerjaannya, dan saat itu kita juga jadinya penasaran dengan semua footage yang dia punya.
So when Victor showed us his footages and then Huru-hara happens, that's the moment for us to actually learn about his extensive archive and his practice as well, his broadcasting channel. That's the moment where we started to think about our work with Victor, collaboration with Victor.
Ya. Dan setelah itu kita aku dan Chris discuss banyak soal Cipak Ketua ini bakal kayak gimana, terus kita akhirnya kayak gimana kalau kita bikin film gitu. Jadi Chris tugasnya kayak ngelihat di YouTube gitu, apa sih footage yang menarik gitu. Karena aku sebenarnya tinggal dekat dari Toraja, makanya aku yang ke Toraja. Habis itu nanya sama Om Victor, mana sih masih ada nggak raw footage yang untuk scene ini, dealing ini kayak gitu.
Me and Chris then had a discussions together. Because I only live 2 hours away from Toraja, so I went and did a research to visit Victor in his village and studio, and that's when me and Victor and his crew selected the right footages for our film, Chris and I's film. Yeah.
What was the question exactly?
How did you sift more than 15 years of footage?
So I guess to put it in perspective, there might be a bunch of people who came and saw the 4-screen version, like the installation kind of version that we either played at the Elwoodwood Convent or in Alice Springs. And I apologize if this film was boring for you because it is made from the same footage for the most part. Anyway. Yeah, during COVID, I was in Alice Springs, Wai was in Makassar, Ompit was in Toraja. Wai would do most of the cutting, while the installations that we were working on at the time were based around the idea of remaking spaces in which Victor's footage was watched in Toraja, in installation spaces. So we created, a space that kind of simulated his studio, a space that simulated, palm wine bars that people would watch it in, little warung, little restaurants, kind of grocery stores, all sorts of places. So we recreated these spaces and had a bunch of screens that it would play on throughout. And yeah, I would do most of the editing, and we'd throw like edits back and forth, and Victor was very involved in watching those cuts and providing feedback and all those kind of things. And yeah, after we showed it at the Abbotsford Convent, we kind of just realised how difficult it is to be able to show the project in like any space. It's so difficult to create, multi-channel installations, let alone, 4-channel kind of cinema experiences. So we really wanted to make a single screen version that enabled slightly broader distribution and consumption of the film, because we were, so enamoured with the footage and the content that we wanted to provide that opportunity as well, and to kind of put an end to a project that took many forms and ended up
It's been more than almost 8 years of collaborations as well. Yeah, amazing. Do you have any questions from people in the audience? Oh, there we go.
This is, I suppose, a question for
Sorry, someone will bring you the mic. Thank you. If you could say your name.
Yeah, my name's Chris. I know several of the filmmakers involved in the project. So I suppose this is a broad question for everybody, which is about how the voiceover came to be, and like the process collaborating on the writing of that. Was that drawn from initial interviews with Victor that were then sort of re-scripted and re-performed, or was it all sort of primary testimony that was then constructed in the edit, and then thereby how much of that, if it did exist in a kind of written form as you were editing, was also something that conditioned the selection of the archival?
Maybe I'll start the response. You're exactly right in that the narration was drawn from countless interviews that we've done with Victor over the years. From 2017, like the first interviews that we did with him, through 2019, 2022, 23. And yeah, it was initially with the 4-screen kind of installation project, it was all via title cards. So Victor's kind of excerpts from Victor's interviews would appear as title cards on the screen. And because of that man filming us right in the middle, he suggested that we turned it into narration, which was a great idea. And over a period of time, essentially in 2023, when I spent 2 months with Wayu and Victor in Toraja together, just to pull the project together, just to kind of finalize the single screen film, we all decided to record narration to revise the title cards that we created for the 4-screen project, to do further interviews, to integrate other stories into the narration, to try and kind of stay away from didactic information about Torajan culture, and to kind of embed it with a sense of just these little stories that Victor was telling us through these really, really long interviews, and to kind of stagger the film with these beautiful little moments while trying to provide enough of an entry point into the film to understand vaguely what is going on. That kind of, to try and find a balance between all of those things, which is difficult. But.
That's enough. Okay. Pak Victor mau menambahkan tentang?
kasih ini narasinya. Dia mewawancarai saya tentang kehidupan saya sebelumnya. Dia ingin mengetahui bagaimana keseharian saya sejak kecil. Saya hanya berdua dengan nenek saya, dan bagaimana saya merawat nenek saya di masa tuanya, sehingga saya bisa memfilm-filmkan semua kenang-kenangan bersama nenek saya, supaya bisa saya lihat nanti di kemudian hari. Karena video itu semakin tua semakin bermakna, semakin berharga. Jadi semua itu di wawancara kepada saya, dan saya memberikan semua keterangan tersebut.
So Chris and Y interviewed me, and we had long talks about from the start of my childhood and to my years with my grandmother when I took care of her as she started to get sick. And from that conversations, I realized that how important it is to document my grandmother, and how as I get old, it's more important, and it's more the footage becomes more important.
Ya, kalau aku sih sebenarnya karena kebanyakan buat ngurasi footage itu di aku ya. Jadi sebenarnya dari ribuan footage kita kurasi. Sebenarnya kita berangkat karena maunya di pertama itu kan 4 screen gitu. Makanya sebenarnya lebih fokus ke visualnya gitu. Jadi gimana caranya nyusun semuanya itu seinteraktif mungkin gitu. Tapi makin lama sebenarnya kita udah tahu beberapa cerita dari Victor di luar dari produksi film gitu. Makanya setelah kita buat 4 screen terus menjadi 1 screen, kita interview ulang, kita konfirmasi beberapa cerita, dan kita rangkai lagi dari awal dari visual narasi kayak gitu.
So when I sifted through the footages of Victor when it was for the 4-screen installation, there was thousands of them, and when we transitioned to the single screen, it becomes this notion or conversation about interactivity, and how I was back and forth with Chris and how we have to structure the 4-screen installation and all of the extensive footages into single screen, and then the conversation about narrative happens and how important it is, how central it is for a single screen.
Perhaps we have one more question from the floor.
There was one up here. Yeah, over there.
Okay. And then
You
there's,
kind of just,
sorry, and there's one more question over there, so, it's okay, you can ask the
kind
question.
of answered it
first.
in that question. You just kind of answered what I was going to ask. Well, I can ask again.
Alright, so maybe I'll give
Move on to the next
that
question.
person an opportunity. You can ask in Bahasa Indonesia too if you want.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Dilal Abimanyu. I'm from SBS Indonesia. That's an Indonesian language program on SBS. Before I came here, I already had the interview with Grace, Mas Wahyu, and Tasya. Ya, jadi saya sebelum kesini sempat wawancara juga dengan Grace, Mas Wahyu, dan juga Tasya. So, saya ingin tanya tentang satu scene di film ini yang mungkin pasti jadi tanya buat saya. There's a scene in this movie that make me have a question. That's the fire scenes yang kebakaran itu. Mungkin Pak Victor bisa menceritakan. Soalnya saya merasa kok scenes ini gak ada relate-nya dengan scene sebelum dan setelahnya. Because this scene I didn't find any these scenes relate the scenes before and after. Mungkin Pak Victor bisa ceritakan tentang kita di balik kejadian kebakaran itu. Maybe you can tell us behind the fire scene. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor, silakan.
Ya, oke, terima kasih. Semua scene itu sebenarnya ada yang tidak berhubungan. Jadi semua itu saya liput tanpa disengaja, jadi tidak direncanakan. Jadi setiap kejadian-kejadian yang ada di sekitar saya tetap merekamnya. Jadi karena dibutuhkan, jadi saya memberikan kepada mereka meskipun tidak.
So every scenes that I documented is not premeditated. So when the fire happens, it's just all of a sudden happens, and me and my crew just went there to document it.
Ya, tentang kebakaran itu terjadi pada sebuah pasar di dekat rumah saya. Jadi kejadiannya sangat tiba-tiba, di mana api mulai menjalar dari salah satu rumah penduduk dalam pasar, dan ketika saya mendengar keributan saya langsung mengambil kamera saya, sigap menyuruh beberapa anggota saya, dan saya langsung menggunakan drone untuk meliputnya, mengabadikan setiap kejadian seperti itu.
So the fire happens in a traditional market near my house. The fire started off from a nearby house in the market. When I heard about the news, I immediately told my crew to come and bring my equipment, including my drone, and just start documenting.
Okay, I think I saw one person, we have only a little bit of time, so if you can make your question quick, that'd be great.
I think we're out of time, actually.
Oh, we are out of time?
Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm so sorry. You can ask the question. Thank you so much, everyone.